Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Today, we have a very special guest, Greg Williamson, and Greg is an OG in the mortgage space. He has started brokerages, a tech company. You probably recognize him now as the Chief Revenue Officer of Lendesk. He crushes it. He blows shit up once in a while, but a lot of his ideas are really good. And today, we are going to dive into the realtor space where we hang out quite a bit because Greg likes to kick things old school a bit and is just going to take us back to those foundational ideas that never expire and are things you can always throw back in your business. So thanks for joining us, Greg.
Hey, well, welcome. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. I'm really excited about this. Let's get into it.
Awesome.
So, Greg, obviously you're a big believer in building your business off of realtor relationships. But if someone's against that, and you can kind of pitch them like, "Hey, this is why you should partner with realtors and build that referral based business," like, what would you say to that person?
I would say, listen, I'm a big believer in the fact that if as a mortgage broker, if I don't have a foundation of realtor business, meaning that I've got a reliable source of business coming in on a regular basis, I shouldn't do anything else. I know that's super controversial, but I mean, why? I'm a mortgage broker. I mean, every single day, 365 days a year, well, maybe not Christmas, like there's deals coming in, there's deals being done in that building over there with those people. Like that's just like the no-brainer. It's preposterous to say that, well, I shouldn't have realtors. That's just doesn't even compute. I'm in the mortgage business. That's where all the deals are. So I think what they say is like realtors are unreliable. They're hard to deal with. Like I don't like their deals. I mean, all of that can be true. But then I think, okay, well, let's say that's a you problem. That's not necessarily the problem with realtors in general. I'm a huge hockey fan. So I look at it and say, look, I think about building my realtor foundation the same way that I would build my fantasy hockey team. So I'm looking at who's my, veterans and who's like the people that I can count on, who's the rookies that I could bet on, and like who are the ones that I want to put on there. Where's my goaltender that's reliable and I know that I can get some deals from them? So I think about that, and I can be thinking about interchanging those people as we come and go. And so now you're saying, okay, well, if I'm going to build my team out, how do I do that? Well, the same way that a GM is going to do it. I got to go and see people. I got to go talk to people. I got to go, like, I can't just sit there and throw out emails and hope for the best. Like, it's old school is smile and dial. Like I'm trying to get appointments. One of the guys I used to coach, I mean, I can't remember the exact number, but I mean, he might be making 20 or 30 calls to realtors every single day. He's even got a, what do you call it? Like the calling AI assist, not AI, but like an assistant that just books
Yeah,
calls for you.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
literally just call and he's booked into like, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 meetings every single week with realtors in his community, and he's a one-man show that does like 60-70 million dollars a year with a foundation of realtors. Great
Yeah.
business. So
That was literally our old business. Was we would book realtor meetings with our four mortgage brokers, and we know firsthand it works. It
yeah,
still works, tried and true method. Yeah, maybe the conversion rate is a lot lower booking the calls over the phone because it's more saturated, but you could even argue that as well. But it still works, and we see that as well on our side. Going back to that analogy of the hockey team, which I love, would you recommend an agent building out a top line, so you got your five players there, or would you say, hey, start with that and then grow to a team of just all like solid players on your team, or do you think you just need that one top line?
no, I think you need a solid team. Because I'm interchanging all the time. Some of the players are not playing well. They get pulled out, and I put somebody else in. Like, but I want my core, like the people that. And so, how do I find them? It's like I got to go talk to people, and then that's the important thing. Is, well, what am I going to say? Well, I actually say a version of this hockey story when I'm out there meeting with the realtors. Because guess what? Mrs. Realtor is getting, she's had 5 mortgage brokers talk to her in the last 3 months. So I get it. So what's
Mhm.
different about you? So
Right.
now the pitch is not like, I'm a really good mortgage broker. I smile a lot. I'll send you rate sheets and I'll bring donuts once in a while. That's seriously old school. But yes, I mean, the pitch has to be unique. It has to be different. And so what's that going to be? And that's what I focus on. So it's like inspiring them to want to be a part of this team and a part of what I'm doing. And then what is new school that I think also actually works really well, and I've seen a couple other guys I used to coach do this really, really well. like even as I'm interviewing these different players, they might not make the team because maybe I don't think it's a good fit. Maybe they don't like, in order to make the team, they got to be committed. Like, are you going to send me to business or are you just faking it? Or they don't want to join the team. Like that's possible too. Like
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. Right. So, but every single person I meet goes with, hey, would it be okay? Like maybe it's not quite a fit for us right now, but I'd love to stay in touch. Would it be okay? I have this thing I do, which is my Friday mortgage minute or my Friday, whatever you want to call it, or your Monday thing. And I just record a quick video of what's the most important things that are kind of happening in the real estate and mortgage space. Can I add you to that list? 100% usually say yes, even just so they can get out of the coffee room. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
yeah.
You get them on that list, and then you just consistency. You're recording that video, you're shooting out your emails, and you get it out to those 40 or 50 agents that you've been meeting with. And I'm telling you, man, most of the real estate businesses, who's the last guy I remember? So I get a deal because I saw your 2 cool videos over the last 2 weeks, and then I got a buyer that said, I'm looking for a mortgage broker. Well, try Greg. Why not? His videos are entertaining. I like them. I'll give him a shot. And then I make sure I kill that deal.
Yeah.
Great. Now they're back. Now they're like, whoa, Greg, that was really good. You did a great job there. Like, I'd like to talk about this more. It's like, okay, great. Well, let's get together and meet again. And let's talk about how we can do more business together. And so those are kind of things the way I think about it.
For sure. We do that Friday video very consistently as listeners of this
It works,
podcast.
right?
It
Sure.
works.
Oh, yeah.
It works like a charm. The other piece too is going back to that hockey analogy. When I was doing those calls early on, I would use a similar sports analogy. I'd be like, okay, I get you have your starting goalie, your starting broker who's great, but let's say they're sick, they're on vacation, they're injured, they drop the ball, whatever. Keep me in mind as your backup goalie, and I'll come in and
I
I'll
use
save
the
the
same
game.
speech, the
Yeah.
same one.
So
Same
good.
one. The
Yeah.
realtor,
It's all
like,
trickled down.
I have a mortgage broker. I like her. I've been working with her forever. And I probably know her if she's in my local community. I'm like, I never would run down anybody else. I'd be like, great. Let me be the backup goalie.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then once we have them in, we
Same
wow them, and we know because Tom and I have a partnership that now there's never that scenario where one of us is on vacation, the ball's getting dropped. So we know once they're in our orbit, we're keeping them there. But
Super.
it did give us a lot of ins and chances to get in a game where we might otherwise get blocked by a simple objection that every realtor who's getting bombarded with mortgage broker calls just knows, oh, I already got a guy. Okay. So it's a great one to get in there.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet a lot of the stuff we do probably trickled down from Greg back in the day where he came up with this stuff, and it's just trickled down through other brokers in the industry. So I'm sure some of it will
Could
overlap
be.
here, but now we're going straight to the source, baby. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Do you guys sell the inflation hedge mortgage strategy? That was one of my best ever. So
No.
What's that one?
good
Yeah,
time.
let's dive
It's a
into
good
that.
time for right now. Actually, it's a great time for right now. So, which is, by the way, one of the things that I would sell to realtors. What's another one? I love it. This one's not great for right now, but in the last 2 years, 3 years, in a rising interest rate environment, no bank penalties is great. Realtors love it. It comes to the point of, I think about what's the thing that's unique. What's the thing that's going to solve the biggest challenge that's happening in the space right now? And then I make it a product or a service and a brand. Like, it makes it sound like I'm the most unique guy. For example, how long have we done purchase plus improvements? Forever. But, mine was called the home renovation strategy or the home renovation plan. So, and it made it sound like it was some unique thing that I had. We had buyer protection plan. And so no bank penalties. Basically, that meant that I knew in a rising interest rate environment, if I did a mortgage with a monoline lender, the worst case scenario is going to be a 3-month interest penalty if they break the mortgage early. So then I just came up with a program that said, if you do a mortgage with me and if any of your customers come to me, one of the biggest challenges they have is they could, life changes. In fact, the stats are that CMHC says that now it's changed a bit now because of the market we've been in, but then the average duration of a mortgage is about 3.2 years. So most people break their mortgage. And if you let them go to the big bad bank, they're going to get whacked with a penalty. And so I know you know this. In fact, Mrs. Realtor, tell me a story. I know you have one. Tell me a story. Get them talking, and people love stories, not stuff. And so it's like, tell me a story of one where you've heard of a customer of yours that got super whacked by a penalty. They always have one and they talk about it. Now they're getting emotional because they're like, God damn, that was bad. Like I had people that got divorced and they're a young couple, and now all of a sudden they get whacked with a $17,000 mortgage penalty and all their equity's gone. And you're like, yeah, that probably sucked, right? So if you send them to me, no bank penalties. They're like, what? How do you do that? I make it sound like it's something that's some magical thing that I've done. All it really is that I say, if you renegotiate your mortgage, I have to place it with a monoline lender. So again, not for today, but this is just an example. Think about what's on there and then, productize it. And you redo your mortgage with me on the next thing. So you get divorced, one of you does a mortgage with me, or you need to move or whatever happens. I just eat the 3-month interest penalty in the new deal. Yeah, sure. Does that like a buy down? Yeah, maybe. But I'll tell you what, the amount of deals that I won up front that I otherwise wouldn't have won relative to the amount of penalties I actually ever paid, which is shockingly low. And even in the deals that I did, I'm just like, okay, I made a $4,500 commission on the new deal and paid a $1,200 mortgage penalty or $1,400 mortgage penalty. No problem. In those 2 transactions, I made $9,000 in commission and paid $1,200 in customer acquisition costs. But that realtor sent me 10 people because no bank penalties. That's one example. Wow. So I have something unique that I go and talk to them and say, this is why you need to do business with me. Inflation hedge strategy, that is good for right now. So the inflation hedge strategy is, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, I bet one of your challenges is buyers are unclear about what mortgage they should take in this changing interest rate environment. And that's a big problem. Now, I realize that right now, specifically, this is like, I'm not sure yet, but I'd be thinking about it because I think it could become a really interesting product. And so what ends up happening is that, as mortgage brokers, we end up having to do 3-year deals, which are great for the borrower and it might be the right deal, but we all know that it's slightly less commission. Or maybe I have to go to a 5-year. Well, now they're locked into that. So if I could find the right buyer, and again, I just tell the realtor about inflation hedge strategy where we manage the person's mortgage and get them a lower interest cost over the 5-year term. It could mean they send me 5 borrowers and none of them are a good fit for that product. Doesn't matter. Right. They gave me 5 borrowers. And so anyway, the inflation hedge says, well, and we built a calculator and it shows it. So you put in adjustable rate mortgage today, and let's assume that rates fall, that prime rate will fall over the next 3 to 5 years. Let's call it a quarter to half a year. And I can run different scenarios. You can do it on any mortgage calculator. And then you're just riding that market down. And so in that example, you would be in a place where you're going to pay a less interest cost over time than taking a fixed rate right now. So again, it might not be the fit for right now because variables are still a little bit high, but we're not that far away from that. That might actually work. I'll give you another one. So one that I love a lot, and haven't really found anybody yet that's dialed this perfectly, but a guaranteed approval program. So, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, when you do business with us, what we've done is we want buyers to go into the market fully ready to go, because either you're going to have to do a no financing condition removal. You're going to either have to do that, but not even that. Like if you could write an offer and in there is a certificate that says that this buyer is guaranteed to be approved. And in fact, if you accept my buyer's offer and I subsequently don't approve the mortgage, I'll pay you $5,000 as a cost for you to relist your home. All it is I make sure I get all the paperwork, all the information up front during the pre-approval, do a full underwriting. Again, not everybody gets it. If it's on the line, I'm not offering a guaranteed approval. But if it is a guaranteed approval, like I know this guy's going to get a deal, why not just take the extra step to create a really cool little certificate that actually lays out? I got this idea out of a U.S. mortgage broker, and it's made us tons of money. So
yeah, I know realtors love that because I pitched a realtor once. I did a 4-slide, and I knew the broker he was working with, and his objection, well, not objection, but he was asking if I had the guaranteed approval program. I was like, no, I don't, and here's why. Like, I had some reasoning as to why I don't have it. And at the end of the day, that was a sticking point. Like everything else he loved, and he's just like, yeah, like I'm sticking with my man here because he's got this.
Yeah, well,
so it works.
There's a software that I built years ago with some people, part of our Finmo team. Actually, we sold that to a group of mortgage brokers that still operate. It's called CompareMyOffers.com. By the way, that's the other thing I would show at a realtor meeting. Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, why do you want to do business with me relative to everybody else? Here's how we do things differently. One, A mortgage broker is supposed, why do people come to a mortgage broker? People come to a mortgage broker because they are going to get options, or they're going to get more things. They don't come to a mortgage broker just because they're going to get the lowest rate, although that's what a lot of people think. But in fact, they may in fact get the lowest rate, but that's not actually the most important thing. The most important thing is the right product, and more importantly, the less interest cost over the term, not the rate today, but I digress. And so then I would pull up my compare my offers dashboard and show them what we put everybody through, which would include, you get a side-by-side comparison of 5 different lenders, which also does the calculation of what the IRDs would be, less of a big thing now in a lower interest rate environment, or a lowering, I mean. It's so cool because they get a report, they get a dashboard, the customer gets to see, and included in that dashboard, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, is once we've got all the information from your buyer, we give them a link to this thing and you. And so as they're looking at houses over the next 2 or 3 months, they can just go and approve themselves. They can actually just put in the information from that particular house, and it'll give them a green or a red that they're approved. So now no longer do you have to call me on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock and try to see if you can get me and see if you can write on that house. It's right there. The dashboard's available to you. You can plug the numbers in. What's the property taxes? What's the purchase price? What's this? Boom. Yeah, it's approved. Go ahead, write the offer. And so that's important. Realtors love that part because they're like, man, I can have that. And I can actually at any time, at any of my buyers, I could see where they sit. Yes, you can. And then inside that same dashboard is the guaranteed approval program, which then issues them a certificate that shows them that this buyer is approved. And so now you submit your offer. And so you're in competition. Now you submit it amongst 2 other offers, and yours is the only one that has the additional certificate that says it's $5,000 or guaranteed buyer. You probably win. Yeah. Or if you're not in competition, but you want to get, let's say you want to negotiate some money off on the deal. And so you're going to the seller and say, I'm coming off $10,000. And the seller's like, ooh, geez, I don't know. But it's approved. It's guaranteed. If you sign this, we're done. Like, you don't have to worry. The house is off the market. A good realtor can close that. And so there's your 20-minute coffee meeting. That realtor's blown away. He's heard things that he's never heard before. You're unique. You're different. And you go have 10 of those a week. Guaranteed you're getting deals. And then you follow it up with your Friday meetings. Boom, done. You went from new rookie 0 deals to 80 deals in your first year.
Exactly. And is that dashboard, are you building that out on like a Google Drive kind of, is it just a spreadsheet or is it a software? What are you doing for that?
On Compare My Offers, it's got its own UI and everything. The customer gets a link. The customer can then go and see. You're building their thing. So what guys do, when I'm at a realtor meeting, I just show them how it works. And I could even say, well, give me your mortgage information and I'll tell you how it works. And then for a buyer meeting, if I was meeting with the borrower, I'd say, here's the reasons why you want to deal with me, because I do a full approval and a guaranteed approval up front. Why that's important to you is that when you go into offering and you're competing with 2 other people for that house that you have to have, you win because we're backing you. And so you can tailor that presentation either way. Both ways, it works. The buyer is no longer interested in, well, what's the cheapest rate? Because I've just realized that, for example, in the buyer meeting, you say, I'm dealing with Royal Bank. I'm like, great. That's amazing. I'll add Royal Bank to our comparison. So, if Royal Bank is the best option for you, you should do it. But, instead of me going, oh, wow, the Royal Bank's really terrible, let me show you all the better offers. Like, you just remove that risk. Now, in that meeting with the buyer, I don't have to sit here and bash the Royal Bank. I just say, no problem. Because I know when I send you the comparison, the Royal Bank's going to look like shit. Because I'm going to put the other offers that are better and the ones that you should take. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why. And then I record a Loom video of me going through the dashboard for the borrower. It takes me 15 minutes max. Then I send you the link and the Loom video. And now you, the borrower, can see the dashboard. You click the link and you get the video that shows you how to work it and what to look for. And then how to use the pre-approval tool, the affordability tool ongoing. So no more calls all day long with realtors or borrowers asking me if they can afford that house because they just go to their dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guarantee, the $5,000 is 5,000, right? Or obviously it doesn't matter the amount, but whatever you offer, is that towards the realtor that you're paying, or is that towards the client?
To the seller.
Oh, the seller. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
like Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I guarantee you. Here's what I've done. The certificate says I've checked Brandon's employment. I've fully checked his employment. I've fully checked his tax returns. I've fully checked his down payment is available and ready to go. And I've done a credit check and he's all filled. And thus, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I guarantee you the mortgage for Brandon. Now, what it also says is what I don't know is whether your house will be approved. So if your house for some reason isn't approved, that's off the table. But no problem. I'm the seller. I'm going, my house is fine. I don't have any hidden problems. It's going to be no problem. And it talks about if it doesn't appraise or whatever that, covers off the house. But I've pre-approved Brandon. Like he's ready to go. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you accept my buyer's offer and I don't approve Brandon, I'll pay you $5,000 damages for you to have to relist your home.
Right. And
That's a
is
compelling
that
offer.
effective in a condition versus non-conditional offer? Like
Either
if
way.
there's a condition,
Either
either
way.
or?
Yeah, like because even in a conditional offer, like you get some time to do it, but at least the seller knows. In fact, a lot of times what happens is they shorten the conditions or they do everything else. I usually say to the realtor, say, look, you need to give me some conditions to at least get the house approved, but I don't need 14 days because I've already done. So now I've taught Brandon, he's my buyer. You got to get me all the shit up front. I need everything, which we, of course, all love and we want that anyway. But now I've compelled Brandon. The reason why he wants to do it is because he wants the guaranteed approval so that he is ready and more able to win a competition or get a discount on the house.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge win because it's prepping your buyers, which is worth its weight in gold anyways, for you to have those documents knowing and not have to chase them down. That time savings huge.
Yeah,
Even if the off chance you had to pay one out over a 1 year period, having that many more buyers prepped and winning, I think the return on it would actually outweigh the
I
costs.
actually don't. I don't think it's ever happened. It's never happened to me. But I'm not actively brokering now. But I built that program 10 years ago. So when I was actively brokering and doing a lot of business, I never ever paid the $5,000 because
Yeah,
I never issued the guarantee approval if it was a wonky
I
deal.
was just gonna say that. Yeah, you're not gonna give it to someone that you're like, this could go either
Like,
way.
the ratios are tight or it's
Yeah,
self-employed, like all these things. Like I'm like, hey, dude, sorry, you don't qualify. I'm still going to get you a mortgage, but I'm not guaranteeing
yeah,
it because this is a roll of the dice moment. But
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we all know how many times you get deals. I bet you the bulk of your deals are like, it's going to go or not.
Yeah, yeah, at least 80-90% for
Yeah.
sure.
So those are guaranteed approvals.
Yeah,
Boom, done. Because I'm willing to risk the $5,000 because I'm going to make $100,000 in deals before I ever have to pay out the $5,000 if I mess something up.
100%. Yeah, I love that idea. And I think it's cool that you have that dashboard too, that we kind of like the client coming back because it's a bit stickier and we can address any questions and any objections and kind of feel out if they're shopping around elsewhere. So we do like a little bit more of
Well,
those
here's
touch
the best
points.
part. The dashboard, when they go look at their compare my offers sheet, you immediately get an email saying Brandon's looking at it right now. So then now you call the borrower and you're just like, hey, I was thinking of you and just wondering if you had any questions about your mortgage. Well, as a matter of fact, I happen to be looking right now at the dashboard. Yeah,
yeah.
don't say. Really? Wow, isn't that amazing?
I use CMO and I loved that feature, and I think it's a great product. We'll put the link in the
Yeah.
show notes too
I
for
don't I
everyone
don't
that's
even own it
interested.
anymore. So there's no
Yeah,
financial
yeah. There's
benefit
no
for
incentive
me.
to you. Yeah,
Yeah, I just love it. It's the best, one of the best things that I was ever involved in. And the guys that run it now, they're great guys, and it's a good product. I mean, I think it's $100. Are you kidding me? It
yeah,
should be $1,000. It's that good. Like you literally, back in the day when I'd have a lot of business, you pitched the buyers guaranteed approval and to compare my offers with a management plan afterwards. Guess how many deals I would ever have to buy down commission or do anything weird or lose deals? Like it just doesn't happen. Why? In the absence of value in anything, I don't care. You're buying a T-shirt. In the absence of value, then you're just going to go to price. And that's where a lot of mortgage brokers, I think, struggle today because they don't offer actual value. Sorry, I know that's going to be controversial, but let's face it. If you're just saying, I'm going to do a good job and get your mortgage done, I can do that anywhere. So I
Mhm.
might as well just do that with the one who's cheapest.
yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think there's a ton of people who are just selling, come to me, I'll get you the best rate. I'll give you the best customer service. Like, okay, it's not enough. And what I found is like flipping that script, one for borrowers, but then also directly to my realtors. Now I get clients who come and book a meeting with me and they'll say like, oh, my realtor said you're going to save me so much money over the course of my mortgage, that you do all these things. I'm like, oh, they're plugging my
Little
value
mini
add
sales
for
reps
me.
for you.
You're basically, I'm playing T-ball now versus having
Oh,
to try to strike out. So
Yeah.
totally. I
And
get it. Yeah. I mean, people are saying, well, last year people would be like, oh my God, the market's so tough. And and that's true. It was. But in my career, I made more money and or made more growth in my businesses in the down years because I could get more meetings with realtors because they
yeah,
were hurting too. And all my competitors were running around scared, and I would just double down and spend more money on marketing, spend more money on growth. And then when the market turned, hey, here we are. I was well set up. I had my hockey team built, I had all my realtors, all are ready to go. I got 10 or 12 solid realtors that are going to give me 5 to 6 deals a year. Okay, right there's 70 deals. And then I'm going to trickle in a bunch of deals from my farm team. And so, boom, I just got 100 deals.
we align with that exactly, because that's what we did during the down market last year. I mean, arguably it's still here, but we doubled down, got more meetings, doubled our business, and we were excited to do it because we knew nobody else was doing it. They're down. They're like, ah, I don't really feel like doing this. They're just kind of like feeling depressed and mopey, and we're just like, head to the ground. Let's do it.
Yeah. And
I think that's the best time to
when the
do it.
market's hot, really hard to get meetings with realtors.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, for sure. And then the other piece too that we put in that time frame too was we built out all the systems. So now as things pick up, the system's there to support the infrastructure of getting more leads in. So we're still delivering on that service as the market starts to ramp up. So it's kind of a win-win across the board. And that's another piece too with realtors is you show them the value of, okay, when things do get busy, a lot of brokers system, it blows up and their service goes down. They can only handle a certain amount of business and then shit goes off the rails. So I think that's a big piece too, that once you do start to get the volume of deals from that desired team, you need to show that you've built the system that can support them.
That's why you got to stay top of mind, like you mentioned, Greg, because when you are staying top of mind and that other broker fails to do what they promised, that's when that realtor is going to come to you as well. So now that we have the product, we have the different features and the different incentives that you're giving these realtors. If we just back up to the beginning, like where are you finding these realtors? Like if you had to give maybe one or two, I know we're coming in at 30 minutes here, but if you could give us one or two tips on how to search for these realtors and make this list to then approach them and the method you would do, yeah, maybe you could just talk a bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like, you may not know really know, but people who know me well would know, like I'm a natural introvert. Like I don't actually love, particularly big crowds, all that kind of stuff. But then I was also done a ton of speaking. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. Sometimes like just if you could flip the switch and I'm focused, okay, fine. But I not naturally don't love going out and trying to meet new people. So, which is odd because they were like, well, that's what I just told you to do, which I get it. And that is a challenge. So nowadays, if I was to start again, I would probably hire one of these like bunch of new development in AI, and I would probably just get somebody to dial and get me meetings. Because if you can get me a meeting, no problem. I can show up and I can, like, I'm a good pitcher. But I don't like to have to go and find those meetings. That for me, that is challenging. So I don't want to downplay that. But if I was unwilling to do that, then I guess I would just like, I'd probably go with some of the realtors who I do know, and then I would just press them to give me two or three others, because then it's a warm intro. That's probably what I would do. But I got to keep the reps up. You know what? I go to the gym every day. I got to do my reps. Like, don't take a week off. Like, and don't skip leg day. So it's the same thing. You just got to get in there and you got to do your reps. Like, you got to get meetings. Like, I want 5 to 10 a week, always guaranteed, like whatever it takes.
Yeah, I was going to say that we
That
always
is way
recommend
too
the plus one strategy. So ask your favorite realtor partner who's their best friend, who they would use if in the industry, or who they trust to cover them on vacation. That's who you want to attract. And I totally agree. I found this, like, we did that for a stretch where we felt we added what we thought was enough realtors to kind of our stable. We had the team, we had the farm team, we had the development league. Like we thought we had it all built out. And then earlier this morning, we were chatting with one another, and we're like, "Do you think we could add a few more here and there?" I'm like, "Yeah, why don't we test some new markets, some new strategies, get some fresh blood in there?" And I realized I'm like, I haven't done this presentation in a long time, and
Yeah.
I got some rust on the gears, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. Whereas before, I was banging out sometimes 5 a day, and it was just
Yeah.
I just did it,
You get
and
into a rhythm. I did
yeah,
2 last week, and oh my god, they were awful. But I
yeah,
know the next 2, they're gonna be better and better, and then you just get into that
That's
routine.
one of the reasons why I just keep doing my reps. Like for me, because when I was building a big mortgage business, I did not ever like there was a period of time when I was really doing quite well and doing a lot of business. I never saw the back end of Filogix in 10 years. Like I didn't even know how to get in. And so, that's just the way I did things because I'm naturally good at coming up with the idea, the marketing, and pitching. So the only thing I did was go get business, home builders, realtors, whatever, and do the discovery call with the borrower. I had the staff that did everything else because number one, I don't like it, and so I'm not good at it.
yeah,
But I realize it's for some of your listeners that's not the way they built their business. I get it, so fine. But so if you're going to be the one who's also doing the applications and the underwriting and the doc chasing and all of that stuff, then yeah, it's going to be hard to get 5 to 10 meetings
Yeah.
in a week as you grow. Something's got to give. Either you stop doing 5 to 10 meetings a week. I don't advise that, or you stop doing the stupid underwriting shit that you're too high paid to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of wrestled with that on both sides. Like we have a great fulfillment person now, but we tried to add underwriting staff last year, and it just never came to fruition. And we realized that's something that some days we need because we're like, crap, I'm underwriting or I'm working on chatting with the BDM when really I should be
Well,
going out and finding those 5 to 10 new deals.
look at it, just say what's your hourly rate. Like if you're doing 50 million, 60 million a year, you're like $300 or $400 an hour. So would you pay somebody $300 or $400 an hour to chase documents? I hope not. And so why
Yeah.
would you do it? And by the way, I don't think it's just like growth for growth's sake. I think it's just do the thing that you're the best at. By the way, if you're the person in your business that's the best at doing putting deals together, then go find somebody like me to go do the front end part. I don't
Yeah.
care, whatever. Or you could say, well, I'll just keep going like I'm going. Here's the problem. And this is why it's not growth for growth's sake. It's protecting against the downside. So if you just say, hey, I'm comfortable, I did 25 million and I'm just going to stay there until you run into the last 2 years where that just went down to 10.
Yeah.
So that's why you're protecting. Like you're always building your business. Nobody says you have to double your business every year because that, a lot's going to break, but just do some growth because then you're protecting the downside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So in the worst case, like if you can't handle the infrastructure is not supporting the amount of leads that are coming in at that point, and you don't want to hire and you don't want to make that transition, then the absolute worst case is you say, "Hey, I'm at capacity, I can't help you," or you go farm that out and send it to another broker and
Or
take
go to
take
your,
some hit
no,
from it. So
use your deal desk at a brokerage. And if you don't
yeah,
have that, go find a brokerage that does.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you pay 30%. Most brokerages will do it like around 30%, whatever. That's probably on the high side, but some of them are flat fee. That's a no brainer. If
Yeah,
you're just unwilling to take the risk of hiring staff, then just do deal desk. I mean, dude, 30% to get all of that shit work that I don't like doing out of the way, and I keep 70 and I just get to go and like drum up business and have control over my schedule. Where do I sign?
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree
And
with that more.
you don't have to hire and pay for a whole year's salary right off the
Yeah,
bat. If it
I'm
doesn't
unwilling
work
to
out,
take that risk. Okay, fine. Then do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
30% is like well in the like, good quality businesses that do hire people. I've always said try to keep that cost 30% or less. And if you can do that, you're great. And so I think you can do it if you hire your own people and you keep your own business. You could probably do it for under 30, I think, probably, or at least try. But you have the additional risk of now you got a head count and you got to keep that person. So I get it. If you're unwilling to do that, then just go do a deal desk.
absolutely. And just to circle back before we close things out here, because Brandon and I were just talking about this morning about reaching out to our top partners and asking for some names, like the exact strategy that you're talking about. What would be your go-to ask from that realtor? Like, how would you phrase it to them?
Like to get the meeting or when we're in the
Yeah, so you're asking a realtor, "Hey, I'm looking to add one more realtor partner, and partner up, and I want to reach out to you because I want someone that's like-minded. Who do you have in mind that I can connect with?" Like
Oh, yeah.
something along those lines.
Okay. Well, I thought you were saying if I was trying to get a meeting with a realtor, what would be that pitch? And I think it would be, I'll start there because I think that's probably the
Sure.
most
Yeah.
helpful. But my favorite thing I usually use, I use it in all kinds of sales. It's like, look, it's only going to take 15 minutes because I want to remove the risk right out of the gate. So you're not locked into me for an hour. It may, in fact, take more than 15 minutes. Once I get them hooked in the first 10 minutes, then, oh, shoot, I noticed we're at the time limit, and then, oh, no, keep going. Perfect. Okay, I got the hook set. Okay, so, or 30 minutes, whatever is going to reduce the risk. And then it's kind of like, I'm going to cover off 2 or 3 strategies that I've been successfully using with other realtors that will help you close more buyers, because the programs that I have will do that. And I might even tease them a little bit with guaranteed approval or something if that's the thing I'm going to go pitch. And or the compare my offers will pitch the idea that borrowers are going to get a full broad, like fully report on all the options that are available to them. I guarantee your current mortgage broker is not doing that. Something like that to just get the meeting, because what's in it for me is pretty big. So like realtors get what's in it for me as the mortgage broker, but what are you going to do for me? And by the way, if I don't have a good idea of how this is going to benefit the realtor, I'm going to struggle, because I got to frame it as a benefit to them. So if I was in that same frame, if I was talking to somebody to give me a referral, what's in it for the person giving me the referral is status. So, hey, Tom, I know that you and I have been doing some great work together, and I think you're pretty happy about it. I'm looking to bring on a couple more people that are like you. Who do you know that would benefit from the things that you and I have built together? So now we're like partners, and what's in it for you is the status of introducing me.
I like
Gotcha.
that. I was
Yeah.
also saying to Tom earlier, kind of what I thought about the frame is, even if it's in the same market, wouldn't you feel more comfortable knowing that I'm on the other side of the deal when it's your place that's being listed, so that they know, okay, the quality of work is there, and then you're servicing hopefully all the clients.
And by the way, with the guaranteed approval, I would say to my realtors that I'm looking for buyers, I'd say, look, when you talk to your sellers, this is also an important part. If they're going to be buying somewhere else, then they also would like to get a guaranteed approval. And so they try to get them to. Now, I realize for some reason that doesn't seem to work as well as I think it should, but it's something. There's something there.
Yeah, I tried the same thing for a bit of converting.
It's weird. I don't know why
Yeah,
you can't convert sellers. They got to go buy, but
yeah, exactly. I had
it,
the same logic and then the same hurdle. I was like, oh, why
yeah.
isn't this working? But there's a way. There's a way
But
to do
yeah,
it.
like I'm a dog on a bone then. If there's a problem in the business, then I'm going to find a way to figure out how to solve that problem. And then I'm going to make it look like it's a product that I geniusly
Yeah,
set up myself, which basically is the same thing every other mortgage broker does, but I just make it look like it's some magical thing that I did.
Yeah. And
yeah,
you've got a process around
Every
it.
other mortgage broker is grabbing the documents up front and doing some pre-underwriting and doing a pre-approval. They're all doing that, but I just put in put this little bit of packaging on it, and boom, it's a product that is so amazing, that's different than everybody else, when in fact it's actually not different. I guess the $5,000 is different, but that's just to remove the risk. Every pitch has to remove the risk for the person buying.
yeah, for sure. Well, Greg, I love the way that you just take things and reframe them and then market them. I think it's so brilliant to take these strategies and just repackage it and sell it to people. And I think it gives our listeners some fresh ideas for how to think about things that have come into the market. How can you take a new offering from a lender and repackage it and sell it to a realtor to draw more realtors into the network? And then from there, how to grow and scale your realtor business. And I think a lot of it is just having those conversations, building the relationship, and then having that relationship compound. My big takeaway from today is definitely the hockey team analogy you did. I'm going to be stealing that for sure. So
Great.
Yeah.
thank
I
you
love
for
that too.
that.
Yeah.
So thanks again for joining us. It was a pleasure having you.
Hey, I had a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. I don't get to do this very often, so I'm really grateful you chose me. It's like getting to use a part of my brain that I don't get to use as much anymore, so I'm really grateful. Thank you very much.
So everyone, if you want to hear more of Greg's strategies and ideas, head to the Lead to Close podcast. You can also find a link on the Lendesk website as well. And there's lots of great tips and tricks and more learning to be found there. Have an awesome day. Cheers.